Yeah.
Well, Dr. Tarzi, thank you for speaking to us. I just have 2 or 3 questions regarding the Iran nuclear deal and its impact on regional security. So my first question is, given Iran's long quest for nuclear technology, right, over 2 regimes, both the Pahlavi regime and with the regime with the Iranian Revolution, the current regime, how legitimate is Iran's quest for nuclear technology?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your hospitality. The quest for the technology is very genuine. It began during the Pahlavi regime, as you just mentioned, and at that time there was a program to have up to 18, even 24 nuclear power plants. The Shah, at the time, the oil was plentiful in Iran, and there was no issue of oil running out, but the Shah legitimized that as partially to have oil only for exportation and have nuclear energy for internal consumption. Also, there was a whole idea that it brought Iran a level of prestige and power. At the time, Iran was accepted by countries such as the United States and Britain as a regional power. So it gave it not only the ability to make more money, but also, I think the most important aspect for the Shah was to have to join this technology, which made it put Iran in a different platform. So it was very legitimate. It actually began with 1 power plant, which was the one that we still have in Bushehr on the shores of the Persian Gulf. And at the time, it was a German company that began operating it. And the revolution in 1979 stopped that, and the Iran-Iraq war, the 1988 war, damaged that German project. And then later on, it was restarted with the Russians at the helm. Actually, the Islamic Republic also wanted to bring the Germans back, but that didn't happen, and they brought in the Russians, I would even say, more reluctantly at the time. So it is a very legitimate concern, both in the energy aspect and also in the prestige aspect, and in my view also to look at the weaponization aspect of it, to have a nuclear fuel beyond what's needed for a light water reactor.
What are some of the internal dynamics and external challenges or threats to the Iranian regime that could also impact upon the successful implementation of the deal?
The Iranians are having a debate as we speak about whether or not Iran would go to this deal that was signed by their country and the P5+1 and Vienna means to them. The Iranian government is trying very hard not to allow the parliament a vote of stopping it, and I don't think that's going to happen. But there will be a discussion there. The agreement has been blessed by the supreme leader in Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, so therefore I think that it will go through. However, there's a lot of concerns. The concerns have different dimensions. The first dimension specifically that Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader, addresses is that this could open Iran to more what he considers to be a soft power, specifically from the United States, but also from other European countries. So while he is welcoming the agreement that takes the threat of regime change and also of a possible military confrontation, but it also understands that Iran could face a longer term, in their view, a threat from what he considers to be Western ideas, democracy, human rights, and all that. So he is very worried about that. But there's also another dimension that is not talked about. It is the economic dimension. Within Iran, you have different factions. For example, the IRGC, the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, is very much involved in the Iranian economic sphere. Very involved. The percentage of which nobody really knows, but it is very, very involved. They're not just involved in the military aspect, but they're involved, for example, in the building of the Tehran subway. They have construction companies, they have import-export. So they look at themselves possibly at losing if the markets open up and Western companies come in to revive Iran's, let's say, the pipeline or the oil infrastructure. So they're looking to make sure that they jockey themselves that when these new monies come in, that they are a recipient and not stay on the sideline. Because if they stay on the sideline, first, their money comes out, and secondly, they may lose within the Iranian social and political standing. So that's another aspect that is not really talked much about. But all this money coming in, of course, it gives Iran a lot of leverage, but also who gets to use this money, which faction within Iran, is yet to be determined. And since Ayatollah Khamenei has ill health, and he may actually pass away, and who is coming out, those questions, because we are talking about issues of several years, I think as right now there's a jockeying for, in a way, to share these spoils, if you would. So that's what some of the social impact.
Well, given all of this and what you said, I have a couple more questions. One is, what would be, what do you think is the impact of the deal, A, on the presidential campaign, electoral campaign for the 2016 elections, and ultimately on the next US president, or the next US administration?
Well, the campaign, I say as an American, I think, unfortunately, we are not having a very a positive debate. Both sides of those who support the agreement or those who oppose it have made this a political game without looking at how to improve on, first of all, on this deal. The deal is just one step. It does one thing, and I think it does it under the circumstances pretty well, which is prevents Iran from producing a fuel for a nuclear weapon. They can only produce up to 3.6% or something like that, and not 20% or eventually 90%. So it does that if, of course, the big question is if Iran sticks to its bargain, which I think it is in their interest to do right now. But that debate is not happening. Right now, the debate is almost totally two extremes, and it prevents both our scientific, but specifically on the political realm, a debate on how to, for example, make Iran more accountable, how to make sure that missile technology doesn't go to Iran, how to look at the future of oil and gas, how to look at the regional balance. And those debates are almost missing, which is, I don't think is constructive. It actually helps Iran rather than helps our side. Another aspect is that in the United States, the president of the United States makes foreign policy. So whether the next president will come and disavow a deal that I think will go through. I think President Obama right now has 41 senators, and I think whether it goes through a filibuster or not, or goes through a veto or not, I think the deal will go through. It will become law. Whether a next president will abrogate that, U.S. history shows that we don't do that often. So right now you see a lot of rhetoric, but that is, pre-election campaign. So I think the deal would stick if Iran sticks by the rules, which in my view they will, and if there's no major upheaval in the region directly related to the deal. So I think actually the deal will go through. The question here is now the long term. I think this is where Western, not just the United States, Western politics, partially because of the nature of our elections, some countries' elections are 2 years, 4 years, we seem to have a much more short-term political goals, whereas Iran's goals are much more long-term. And how to juxtapose those, I think, is something that we will see in the future. Of course, also depends, you say the next US president. We know we will have a next president. Under our constitution, President Obama will not be the president. The question is whether Iran will have a next supreme leader. Mr. Rouhani will be the president. He's there for, if he could win a second term as well. But Khamenei's change will make a lot of differences, for the better or for worse. So that also depends on the longevity of this deal. But I just don't see, and I hope I'm right on that the next US president, whoever she or he is, we have a woman running now, that person will actually abrogate an international agreement. Stranger things have happened, but I really don't see it like that.
So given all the ink that has been spilled about the deal, the pros and cons of the deal, is it a game changer? Is it a game changer for Iran proper? Is it a game changer for the rest of the international community, for regional security? Is it one of these things that, you know, history will mark, you know, will be marked in our history and in history books as one important event in international relations?
It is a game changer right now. Whether it will be marked as a, in retrospect, let's say 50 years, we look back at it, that depends on what happens on the implementation and whether or not it actually creates less tension in the region or actually creates more proliferation. Those partially depends on Iran's behavior and partially depends on how we collectively, specifically the powers that signed this agreement with Iran. Again, it's not a bilateral US-Iran, it's a 6 countries with Iran, 6 major countries, top countries in the world in power terms and in economic terms, how they implement this deal. If it's implemented in such a way that it actually leads to non-proliferation for a longer term, beyond the 8-year term, and beyond even the 15-year, which is everything will be finished at that time. And Iran behaves relatively better than what it's doing right now, meaning it doesn't export terrorism, it doesn't have a long hand in other countries too much. Some of it may be legitimate, but not too much of it. Human rights, obviously, threats against Israel, and all that, it subsides, and the proliferation in the region doesn't occur beyond this. Other countries looking at that, a deal saying it's empowered Iran, maybe we want to have our own, whether we did go for a nuclear weapon or at least go for a fuel cycle and then making a deal with it. If such a thing doesn't happen, then this may be a game changer for long term. But right now, yes, it is a game changer because it is changing the perspectives of Iran, how it regards itself within the region. It changes the perspective of regional countries, not just Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Israel, but even other countries, Pakistan, Iraq. It's changing how they regard the future, immediate future. But as I say, the longevity of this, whether this will be a deal we will look at and say, okay, this was a major historical deal, will depend on, I will say we have to look at least a decade from now to see whether it is like that or not.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.